Hi, Colleen. How you doing?
Heidi ho, neighbor. I'm doing well. How are you, Liam?
I'm very good, thank you. It doesn't matter how many times I watch that intro video, I'm still dancing. And it's
I know,
even
and I'm,
worse
I'm
today.
looking at us
Yeah,
behind the scenes and seeing if we're in sync when we're doing it. And well,
yeah.
we're not, but it still
We're
makes me
not.
happy.
No. Well, that's me. I'm never in sync with anything, so it's entirely my fault. Um, yeah, and I was just thinking as that music was coming on, like I don't know how long what time we started this meeting. But we've done a lot of planning and a lot of good
Yes,
bloopers that we didn't catch that I wish we had.
this is true. So
Yeah,
true.
one of those things we were saying, clickbait title, we should say, How to Stop AI Cheating in Your
Hmm.
Classes. And then we would start the video by saying, You can't, but you can do these things. And we're going to talk to you about what you can do.
Yeah.
Yeah, so on the screen here, this is a special edition episode. We're not
It
talking about
is.
the Ultra release notes. We're talking about something in Ultra, though. Very exciting. And as you can see on screen, Turnitin assignment integration. Oh, you know what we need is that button that we could do the sound clips like that. See,
Uh, there you
somebody
go.
clapped there,
Click,
so
click,
that's good.
click, click, click.
Yeah, so yeah, exciting. We're talking about the Turnitin integration, and with us, because we are not the experts, we called in the big guns. So we've got our friends from Georgian College's Center for Teaching and Learning. They're the instructional design technologists Bert Slessor and Karina Mejia, both joining us to save my voice so that I don't have to talk so much.
It's going to be
Um,
interesting to be the audience today. I'm excited.
I know this will be really
Yeah.
cool. So yeah, we've got Bert and Karina joining us today, and they're going to show us through. I'm going to put the pressure on and see if I've got this right. You're going to show us the instructor side and the student side. Is that right, guys?
You
Yes.
got it.
Yes. Phew.
Awesome.
You are now, in case that wasn't the plan.
Now you're committed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
So,
just gonna mute myself and I'm gonna let Karina take
oh,
the
perfect.
stage here, if that's all right.
Yeah. There you
Off book.
go, guys.
Not okay.
So
Yeah.
much pressure.
Awesome.
But
Yeah.
hello everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah, if we're gonna so Bert's gonna share with you the instructor side, so what you would see once you get into the Blackboard Ultra. And then I will turn over into the student preview side and share with you how to submit the assignment into that assignment portion, and then how it would look like in terms of what the percentage on their
Okay.
submission is, and then from there also how they can resubmit if they were choosing to do some edits and
Mm,
try to lower that percentage on their own side as well. And then we'll
perfect.
revert back to Bert, and then Bert will share with you the instructor side on how the assignments that have been submitted, how they will see that and what it looked like for them as well. I also forgot to mention that on the instructor side, Bert will also share with you at the beginning on how to create that assignment using the integration, the Turnitin integration for Blackboard Ultra.
Perfect. Amazing. So
Exciting.
what I'm
Right.
hearing is this is going to be like the best Freshforward video of all time. So
As always.
yeah, yeah. The content plus the clickbait title that we may or may not use, I'm telling you, we're gonna get like YouTube platinum status or something. I don't know.
Yeah, we should have at the beginning and when you were mentioning that kind of put like confetti and say sorry but not sorry.
Yeah. Jokes. Yeah. Okay. So why don't we jump into it? And I think Bert, you're gonna start. So
Yeah.
I'll share
Yeah.
your screen and then we can get you going.
Yeah, perfect. This is awesome. First I just want to say thanks for having us on. I'm a big fan of Freshforward. I've watched all your episodes from beginning
Oh.
to end. I'm just kidding, I haven't, but I am still a big fan. And it feels like you're a bit of a local celebrity, and being able to kind of connect with you guys is a lot of fun. And it's even more exciting to talk about Turnitin integration within Blackboard Ultra, because this is a big deal. To kind of give faculty some reference, the other method of creating a Turnitin assignment within Blackboard still exists, so don't fret. But this way, it's just a little cleaner, a little easier to grade, and I'll show you how to do that. So first, you would go in and we would just say create. The other way was going to content market. So we're going to skip that. We're just going to click on create. And here we get to create an assignment. And I'm just going to give this a Turnitin enabled assignment. And you'll see down here, there's some assignment settings, and I'm going to just make sure that I enable Turnitin. Toggle that on, and you'll get a few options. I'm going to give you the recommended options. If you want more detail about all of these options, you can connect with us. We'll give you resources, and we'll give you sort of places to go and an email address of who to contact you if you want more detail about this. But I'm just going to give you the recommendation here. And for now, we'll say do not store the submitted papers. I do cover more detail in some of my videos about Turnitin and the CTEL help juice knowledge base. That's a bit of a tongue twister about the different repositories. But in this case, I'm going to say do not store the paper. We don't need it because it's just a test paper. And what we want it to compare against are all of these databases, essentially. And then in this case, because it's you want to, if you want to share it with a student, and in this case we recommend it, then we'll say allow students to review or view report after submitting. So the student will be able to see the report. You click submit, and then it's going to bring you just to the regular assignment setting. So the same way you would set up a Blackboard assignment, it's really straightforward. And in this case, I'm going to say no due date just to keep it light. And in here, instead of one attempt, I'm going to do unlimited attempts. And in terms of these settings, these are really to do with the instructor. So for example, if you have a due date, obviously most people do, then you can just put it in there. And then if you only have one attempt or two attempts, then you just get to choose that. It's really professor preference. And I am going to go down to the grading rubric. And the reason why I'm focusing on the grading rubric specifically is because the original way of setting up Turnitin is you had to grade it within Turnitin, but not all faculty liked Turnitin's grading features. So now the benefit is that you can grade within Blackboard and see the Turnitin report, and students only have to submit in one location to actually get this report and the grading feature that faculty are maybe more comfortable with, which is Blackboard. So really awesome. In this case, you can create your own or generate. I've already pre-made one, so I'm just going to click add. And so that should be added. And then you can add your description here about your essay, if you have some additional instructions, if you have a little note, or if you have, any sort of additional steps that you want the students to take, you could put it in there, or just about what the assignment is if the title isn't clear enough. I'm going to click on save. And so here I can see no due date, assignment category is there, generated rubric, unlimited attempts, and Turnitin is enabled. So I do a quick check, and then I can drop in instructions. So the instructions used to be that you had to, if you're trying to submit a Turnitin assignment, they really didn't have a whole lot of places to add the assignment instructions. You had kind of a small box. You couldn't add any links, PDFs. You can do all of that in here, Word documents. You can even add sort of a video or a screencast of instructions. All of it goes here. Okay, so that's what is most exciting about this, is that no longer are you having to do a Turnitin Dropbox, and then if you want them to submit it within Blackboard or give them instructions in Blackboard, you don't have to do an extra link, you don't have to do an extra file, you don't have to do an extra Blackboard. It's all in one, which is massive. I'm going to click save, and I'm going to do a refresh to make sure that that just all goes through properly. Okay, so I do another quick check. My instructions are there. I don't have any PDFs or links to add, but you can do that in there. I think most faculty can figure that out. And if you can't, you can come back. I'm going to enable this. So I'm going to make sure it's visible. And now I'm going to turn it over to Karina. Karina, do you want to share your screen and show what it looks like to submit as a student?
Of course. Thank you. Perfect. Thank you very much for that, Bert. So I have already set myself into the student preview. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to refresh this page. And that, so now in the perspective of the student, in my course, I can see what the course, well, my course content in this case is only the assignment. And so what I would do is I would click on the assignment, and then this little box on the right-hand side will pop up. And this will inform me the assessment due date, like Bert was mentioning. And then it does say this grade, this rubric, this item is graded with a rubric. So I click on that and I will be able to see the rubric here in the breakdown. Perfect. So I can, after viewing the rubric details, I can click on the X here, and that will revert me back to where I was. And here I will also be able to see that I have an unlimited attempts to submitting my assignment, and that it is Turnitin enabled. And so once I'm going to click here where it says view instructions, and as Bert was mentioning, here is where the instructions are, quote unquote instructions. So if there was a PDF or there was a video, it would show up right here in this section as we're seeing the text here. And just below it where it says submission, there's a box and it says drag and drop files here or click to add. So if I clicked on here, I'm just gonna look for my files, which I have here in a folder that I have saved here. So I can click and drag and submit it in there. If I wanted to display a different name to what I have, Turnitin assignment. And I'm going to click on save, and that will submit that. While that is loading, this will then eventually load it up into this window here, converting it into a visible Turnitin assignment. So this will show you a preview of what your assignment would look like going prior to submitting it, where the submission button's here on the bottom right-hand corner. So you don't get to see your percentage yet because it hasn't been submitted to be able to get the error percentage. So what we'll do here is, okay, my assignment looks good to go. And so here I will then click on the submit button. When submitting, it does give this pop-up window. It says, by submitting this assignment, you are agreeing to the Turnitin end of user licensing agreement. And then after you submit, you can't edit this assignment. Same thing with Turnitin. Once you submit it, you can't edit it afterwards. But you could resubmit a new one if you wanted to. If it was enabled, sorry. And we'll click on submit. So the submission was successful. Same thing as the same window as you would see in the Turnitin. You can download the text box if you wanted, but we'll just close this. So now that I see the Turnitin, it's right here. So if I wanted to view it as a student to see what my percentage was, I'm going to click on Turnitin on the assignment again, and this window will pop up. Now it says under the, instead of going straight to the instructions, under the attempts, where it says unlimited, it also says one submitted. So if we click on the one submitted, what this will do is show you, if you had multiple attempts here, it will show you all those attempts, but you can click on those. So click on the attempt version that you wanted to view, and here it will allow you to view your percentage. So your percentage match will be found right here on the upper side of the assignment. So you'd have to scroll down a little bit, but it is in a different color, so you will be able to distinguish the percentage from the assignment. So with the feedback, it's actually not showing up this time.
You should be able to click on the 28% match.
Right. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
So if I if I click on the match itself,
And it may not show
I'm
up.
gonna have to share a different, yes, because it opens in another tab. So let me.
Okay. And while you're grabbing that, I just want to highlight if that assignment screen looked different for folks, that's because the new release also has an update to the assignment screens that students can view the instructions without starting an attempt, which has been the bane of many faculty's existence. So that's another change that's now available. So good on both Bert and Karina for having rolled with that change and not having to not being thrown by this change on how those assignments are created. So well done.
Right on.
Karina, Karina, you've got your screen all set up there?
Yep, all set up.
Here, we'll do that. There you go.
Perfect. Okay. Now, so yes, once you click on, thank you for again, once you click on the percentage, and the percentage will open up the Turnitin page for you and give you all this breakdown. So the similarity breakdown will be here on the right hand side, and then the highlighting in your within your document will be the majority of the screen on your left hand side here, as you see here. And so this is what your report would look like. And here on the right hand side, it will start off with showing your top sources that are being matched, but you can also click on your all sources, and then that will show everything that's been highlighted for you within the documents. Within your sources, you can also pick and choose. So if I clicked on this Southampton paper that was being referenced, of course, this is we did use ChatGPT to create this for us, so we had an example for you guys. Here we'll show you, if I realize I quoted this correctly, for example, and it's just being highlighted, I can exclude it from being visible within the document itself, and then I can just go into the next portion that I wanted to view within the document. What it says here is settings change will not be saved. That's for the students, of course. It's different. Faculty or professors can pick and choose what they want to be visible or not. So if I came back here and I decided I wanted to view that, and I also didn't want to see this one, I can also take that out as well.
Right.
And then just above it, yeah.
I was just going to say, and maybe you were going to get to this, but just to confirm, because I can imagine people getting anxious in their seats here.
Yeah.
Sure. You're just clearing that from your own view as you're reviewing it, right? You're not saying like, aha, they're not going to see this similarity report. They're just going to, it's just for your own sort of, okay, perfect.
Yeah, great question. Yes, it's just for yourself.
Okay.
We tested it. So Karina, took a few off on another one that we tested, and on mine, it still showed the original similarity report that she had got, basically, that she received when she first submitted.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I myself as a student can't go around and be like, hey, I actually think, no, I'm going to remove all of them. I got 0. No, it will still become visible on the other side. It's just for myself, while I'm viewing it, I don't necessarily need to see that portion, for example. And then so that will, and then it's just above it, it says 3 similarity exclusions. Actually, it is still listed there. It's just hidden from the actual viewing of my submission. And then so if I wanted to go back and revert to include them all, I can close that up and then go back to done, and then all of them come back here. So they will still be visible.
Amazing. And so just because we're looking at the shared screen, this is when you clicked that match button, you got brought into the Turnitin environment, right? So now we're outside of Blackboard. Okay.
Yeah, right now we're outside of Blackboard and in Turnitin's new format actually as well.
Okay.
So I'm going to just jump into, because it is a big concern sometimes when faculty think, how is the student going to going to use this to maybe, increase their ability to plagiarize? How do you manage it? How do you limit it? And I think what Turnitin always does is it checks for similarity. It's never checking for plagiarism. Any training that I've had with them, their mantra is about looking for originality, to make sure that the sources that students do use are quoted and cited properly. So the idea, when you go into settings, for example, Karina, really what this is like a visual guide for students to say, okay, what does it look like? Because most of this is highlighted, or large chunks of it are highlighted. And so I think you can remove some of the highlights to kind of give them just a visual representation of what it looks like if they were to leave it unsighted, for example, and what it would maybe mean if they were to take those citations out altogether, or those unquoted sections out altogether, what would it look like? So it gives them just kind of a visual cue of how much needs to be cited, or whether, even if they did cite it, because this is a conversation that I have with my students. They said, look, like if 70 or 60% of your paper is cited perfectly, do you think that that's okay? And it creates a bit of a discussion about, how much citation is okay? Well, how much is it acceptable? Because you could have a perfectly cited paper, technically, no plagiarism issues, but how much of those ideas are of the students? And so this is a nice visual cue for students to use.
Yeah, and Bert, I'm just gonna press a little bit on that, because I think this is an important point. At least, like, I don't support Turnitin, and yet I get this question whenever I talk to people about plagiarism or originality or citing their sources. They say it's this phrase of, what's a magic number that's okay to show up? Like, are we aiming for 10%? Are we aiming for 20%? And I believe it might have been you, Bert, when I first started in CTEL, that I heard say that there is no magic number.
That's correct. Yeah.
Do you want to just give a little, and I don't want to jump too far down the rabbit hole, but do you want to just kind of clarify that?
Yeah, absolutely. So when you think of, like a technical form of what plagiarism looks like, you're taking a piece of text, for example, that's verbatim from somebody else, and you're not citing it. Let's say it's just one sentence out of a 4-page paper or a 3-page paper. It doesn't really matter so much. But the reason why I'm talking about the page amount is because Turnitin's similarity report works on percentages. So if you only have a small sentence that's technically plagiarized, the similarity report is going to be very, very low. And what can be confusing about Turnitin similarity report is that it kind of gives like a green, orange, red, sort of like a stoplight sort of notification for faculty. And when they look at it, if it's a low similarity report and they glaze over it and they say, well, it's a green, so it must be fine. It's under 10%, it must be fine. Well, it could be 1%, and that could still technically be a plagiarized piece. It's just, compared to the amount, it may not matter to you as much as a professor. So what if a student plagiarized one small sentence, does that really matter? Well, technically, yes, it does. But you're constantly, as a professor, recommend that you go in and check each individual case and just make sure that whatever's highlighted has been cited properly. If it hasn't, then maybe you look at, how often is the similarity report picking up sort of these catchphrases that are sort of current with all papers? Like, are students talking about a similar subject? And so when they get submitted, do they get picked up because they're all similar? In this edition too, and sometimes faculty use a graphic organizer, like a template. And in the other version of Turnitin that we have, where you would go through the content market to use, that actually has a section where you can upload a template. It looks like that this newer version here, this alternative version, is more streamlined. It doesn't have a template. So if you had students using a template and you had descriptions per what they should do per section of the template, you would probably use the Turnitin from the content market. That way you can exclude all of that material. Or you just deal with higher percentages of similarity, and you kind of adjust your expectation evaluation.
Okay, cool. Thank you. I think that's just an important point when we're talking about similarity reports and stuff, because it's not 20% is okay. It's look at the context of what it's flagging. So
You got it. Absolutely.
awesome. All right. So should I go back to Karina? Do I have to go back to your screen for the student side, or are we flipping over to Bert?
I think we're okay to flip.
I think we're okay. Yeah, I think we're
yeah.
okay. You can flip over back to Bert.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Then back to, so we've done, so the instructors created the assignment, the students have submitted it, they've reviewed it, and then now we're back to Bert.
Yeah, so you have your assignment there. In the other version, you could click into here and look at the grade. In this case, you're just going to go straight to the grade book. And one to grade. And so I will, oh, I think it was this one. There it is, sorry. So there it is, one to grade. So I will just click on this. And this is, again, just the faculty view. So click on the student. And so you don't see it in line. I think maybe, if I were making a wish from Turnitin, it would be awesome if you could see it kind of in line, like inline text, sort of what it would look like. You would just have to do the same thing to see the match. You'd see the match number here. When I click on that, this will also just open up similar to Karina's. And, if you're familiar with Turnitin already, then you will have a good awareness of how this functions. It looks a little bit differently. You do have filters on the side as to what you want. If I have a bibliography that's very similar, if the students are using all the same sort of text, you might want to exclude that because that will show up. If they're using similar quotes, if you're having them do a paraphrase exercise or a summary exercise, and they're all quoting from the same text, again, it's something that you might want to exclude. Or if their quotes are perfectly quoted, if they're cited, then you could exclude that and see what the number changes to. But this, again, is all personal preference in terms of how you use it. And really, I don't want to go into much detail here, but other than it will highlight sections that, in Turnitin's opinion, are verbatim text that's copied. And you would want to look at it, each section, and say, okay, where did this come from? And how much of it is, worthy of going back to the student and saying, hey, this doesn't work. You'll also notice that a lot of it is private content. And so in that case, it just means that within the repository, it's hidden. Some universities or post-secondary organizations will have, it's like window tint. You might not be able to see in. They might be able to see out into the repository, but you might not be able to see into theirs. So in that case, it's still legitimate. It just doesn't give you the details of what the text looked like exactly. In an internet section, for example, it will show you the exact section here that would have been copied and is, so it is up there. So yeah, and it gives you the website as well. You can, if you're a professor that needs to download the similarity report, if you're working through a breach of academic integrity or something to that effect, and you need to relay this to a dean or a manager, you can download at the top of the screen. You could print it. You can just get the original submission before it was a Turnitin report. And I found that that's really helpful. Now, the other thing that I wanted to show briefly is that now, like I said, you can go in and grade in line. So, the content, organization, style, etc. You can put in a grade pretty easily. And especially with the new grading tools, I find that this is gravy. It's so simple. I love it. And so you give a nice 85%. You can give same thing. You can do like text feedback. You can give all the regular Blackboard feedback. I won't go into detail. The grade gets posted up there as well as over here. And then once I click out of this, I believe it should stick.
Don't forget to click the post grade.
I think it should go.
It'll be visible for you as the instructor. It should be there. But I don't think it's posted yet.
No, there was a button towards the left.
Oh, we
was
missed
there?
the button.
Oh,
Sorry.
my apologies. The
That's
other one that we set up did not. So
Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
So I'm not sure where this one just went to, but I'm going to say post all grades here. And yeah, Karina's disappeared. Maybe Karina, did you log out?
Oh, you know what? You have a filter there. It says grading status needs grading. That's why it wasn't showing, is because it didn't need to be graded anymore.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
I don't even see my, right.
So now if you just do all submissions,
there
it
we
is there.
go.
Yeah.
Perfect. So there it is, and it shows up, and it's been posted, and we're good. And so that is the main overview. I will add that, one question that we do get is in the other form of Turnitin, students have a maximum of 3 submissions, and then it puts a halt to that. In this case, when we tested it, it shows that you can actually, the student can submit as many times as they want to, if you've allowed unlimited submissions. So that's up to that's up to the student now, or the professor. If they want to limit the submissions, that's on their end within Blackboard. Otherwise, the student could keep submitting and potentially lower their similarity report. But it's really up to the faculty.
Okay.
So I think that wraps it up for our overview.
Actually, Bert, can I actually share? I realized when we were in the student perspective, I forgot to share how they can resubmit, because it's fairly easy.
Okay.
Oh, for sure.
Here, I'll put you back on the stage. There you go, Karina.
Thank you. Okay, so I can exit that. So here, as I was saying before, well, now it's graded, so now I can see my mark. Thank you. And then I can also see any feedback. So if I go back and I wanted to resubmit, trying to bring my percentage lower, I just click on the view instructions in the same format the way I did it. If I save this, that's just going to say it's the same thing here. I'm going to click on save, and then that will upload itself, and then the submission button is ready to go. So click on submit again, and then it's done.
So now, because of this integration, the ability to resubmit for a Turnitin integrated assignment is going to be the same as if it were a traditional Blackboard assignment that didn't have any Turnitin. Is that correct?
It's actually going to be a little bit easier.
Okay.
Yeah, because in Turnitin, in the other portion, you had to make sure you toggled on, you had to make sure you had the settings. Same here, you have to get the settings, but there was a couple of settings when setting up the Turnitin assignment that you actually had to toggle on, and then also make sure that you clicked on the 3 submissions. Something I think it was like 3 submissions within within a 24-hour report system. And then so now if you just click on the assignment, you will see now I have 2 submissions. And let's say, you know what, I'm going to submit it a 3rd time. And I do the same thing. It's basically repeating the same thing over and over again until you feel comfortable as the student to submit that assignment. And when I go in, it will tell me how many times I've submitted it. But since Bert set this up as unlimited, I have unlimited times I can submit this. And there isn't a time period or a stop between the submissions. You can continue until you see fit.
Excellent.
Yeah, and then when clicking on the submitting, this is what I was mentioning earlier, that this will give you the viewings of the attempts that you did. So however many attempts you did, you can see the report differences if they've differed between each of them. So you can scroll down, and this one's processing.
Right.
And then once it's done processing, your percentage would show here. So if it's
Mhm.
decreased or if it's increased in comparing whatever the repositories is, that is how you'd be able to find it.
Amazing. Cool,
Yeah.
guys. Thanks so much for sharing all of this. Um, questions is support. If an instructor wants some help, wants to learn more, what should they do? Where should they go?
Yeah, for sure. So glad you asked. So Turnitin, we have Turnitin sessions through our CTEL workshops. They'll be offered. You can access the CTEL webpage, and they'll be offered throughout the term. You'll also get, if you go through the Turnitin web link for this new feature, they have a great resource page in terms of defining more some of those extra details about how it works or those additional features. And then the CTEL knowledge base for existing Turnitin videos, which is Help Juice. And you can see that in the description below.
Yeah. Yes, we'll put those in the description.
I think it will pop up, right? Wink, wink.
Yeah, we'll put it in the description. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And then the faculty edtech at georgiancollege.ca. You reach out to us if you have questions. Karina or myself would be happy to help.
Yeah, of course.
Wonderful. Amazing. Guys, that was so great. Like I will say, I think we booked half an hour for this whole meeting and thinking like, oh, it'll be a 5-minute, 10-minute video, and here we are. But I think that this has been a powerhouse of a session for sure, right? Like I'm trying to be proactive a little bit about the post-production editing sort of time, and just time stamping is a bit of a thing. But I was just making notes where like we covered the instructor creating the assignment, the student submitting the assignment, the student reviewing the assignment, the instructor reviewing the assignment, the student resubmitting. Like we have in the last 38 minutes crammed a lot of really good stuff in here. And you guys were nervous. You shouldn't have been. Like you're going to become regulars
Pros.
on our show now. So
Bert's a pro star. I think the nervous one here was myself.
okay. Well, you guys did amazing, and I really appreciate you guys taking the time carving it out. And I know that there's been a ton of prep that you guys would have put into getting this ready to show off. So I really appreciate it. So yeah,
Right. Well, thanks for having us. I
this.
think it's awesome, and it's great to get the word out. And I think this will really help faculty as well. I think it's a great option. It's different and it's more streamlined. It's been what people have been wanting for a while. And yeah, I can think of more questions too that I have as a faculty, and I haven't turned this inside out yet in terms of trialing as much as I can. But yeah, it's great. So thanks.
No problem. Well, thanks, guys. I think we'll wrap up here, and invite everybody who's watching. If I'd encourage you to share this with your peers, especially this one is, I think, Turnitin is such a incredibly well used tool across the college. So now it's going to be a little bit different. Sharing that knowledge is great, and yeah, so share this around. And continue to join us. I think the next session we'll be doing is talking about the next Ultra release. We're not going to give any spoilers about that, so check us out, follow us, and yeah, again, thanks to Bert, Slessor, and Karina Mejia for taking some time and joining us today. So thanks everybody. Yeah, thanks guys.
Thanks,
and
thanks, Pauline. Thanks, Karina.
All right, don't log out or you mess up my recording though. So we'll sign off here, guys, and we'll see everybody next time.